Hello everyone, welcome back to Kaushal Bio Prep. In today's video lecture, we are going to discuss another topic, that is the integrated fish farming. So we will start with the introduction to this topic. So integrated fish farming is a holistic and sustainable agriculture system where the aquaculture is combined with the livestock rearing, either the livestock rearing or crop cultivation, horticulture or forestry in a mutually beneficial way. That means in this system, both the industries which are collaborating are going to be mutually beneficial for each other, right? And according to the FAO 1977 in India, it defines the principle as there is no waste. Waste is only a misplaced resource which can become a valuable material for another product. That means waste from one industry can be starting material for another product for another industry. That is what basically we do in integrated fish farming. So this system emphasizes the synergy among the farm components, ensuring that the waste from one enterprise becomes the input for the another one, and thereby it will maximize the resource efficiency, productivity and environmental sustainability. So it is a very good approach in line with the sustainable development also. Now the principle of integrated fish farming is resource recycling. First of all the byproducts and the waste material from one farm is going to be converted into inputs for the another farm component, right? Then there is synergistic effect. That means the different enterprises, either it is fisheries, livestock or crop, they are going to benefit each other in some way. Then there is nutrient utilization, in which animal waste is going to be utilized for as a fertilization for as a pond fertilizer, and then it will help in the plankton growth, which will eventually help in the natural fish food production. Then there is waste minimalization, minimization. Basically waste from any particular enterprise which are taking part of the integrated fish farming is going to be used as an input for the another one. So waste is minimized, and the philosophy will basically ensures the environmental management. There is no waste actually, right? Then there is lastly the economic optimization. It will maximize the farm returns by producing multiple products, because in a way you are using the waste also to get another product, right? Now, what are the components of the integrated fish farming? So, there are three major components. Number one is the fish livestock integration, then there is fish crop integration, and fish horticulture integration. Now, the fish livestock integration, or fish another animal, if you say integration, it can be done in so many ways. I am going to discuss two main ways in which this thing is done actually. There are so many ways to do this. For example, you can see over here clearly in fish livestock integration, you can have the poultry integrated with the fish farming or the duck farming, pig, cattle. They will provide nutrient rich droppings, that is the waste of these animals, and it will stimulate the pond productivity, which is beneficial for the fish production. Then in fish crop integration, the rice basically most commonly is being used in cooperation, where basically rice field is used for fish rearing. Then there is vegetable on the pond dikes, and there is agroforestry. There are so many ways in which you can utilize this function. Then there is fish horticulture integration, where particular fruits like banana, papaya, coconut, their on buds utilize pond irrigation, and manure rich soil is produced basically, right? So there are so many ways to do this. Now what are the benefits that we have seen, but who are the beneficiaries of this integration? So first of all, the fisheries, the fishes. Primary beneficiaries are fishes, because they will directly utilize the manure, and indirect benefit are through the enhanced plankton productivity, because the droppings of this animal will help in the increased production of the planktons, right? So productivity will increase in a way. Then if you see the crop and horticulture, so there is nutrient rich pond mud, and the water is used for the irrigation, which will improve the soil fertility. And finally the livestock, they benefit from the increased feed option. If you are seeing that there is aquatic weed, there is rice byproduct, so there are so many feed options in case of the livestock. So these are the benefits Now if you go deep into the fish farming, you will see that there is various type of the integrated fish farming. There are five mentioned over here. First is the paddy cum fish farming, that means you are rearing the rice and fish all together. And there is duck cum fish farming, that is fish cum poultry farming, where there is the poultry production along with the fishes. And there is fish cum pig farming, and there are other animals in fish system integration. So basically the fish is the primary enterprise here, and secondary you can choose accordingly. So I'm going to discuss only two over here out of these. So the first one is the paddy cum fish culture. You can see in the picture very clearly, this is the paddy field and this is the water. You must know that the paddy plants need to be submerged in, not completely submerged, but partially the roots are submerged in the water, and that particular water can be used for fish culture. So that is what it is happening over here. Now there are various rice varieties which can be grown in this manner. So there is ADT 6, ADT 7, there is Rajarajan, there is Patambi, and there are so many other varieties which are suitable for this, right? Patambi 15 by 16 is also very suitable for this type of culture. The species should have strong roots condition first of all, and there needs to be capable of withstanding the flooded condition, because the water level is going to be maintained so that fish can survive in that water when you are co-culturing both these things, right? Then further they have around 180 to 200 days lifespan. So in between fish can also culture for 4 to 5 months of the tenure, right? Now what are the advantages of doing all this? So the in this particular thing, paddy cum fish culture, the fish increases the rice yield also, which is chiefly due to the indirect organic fertilization through the fish excrement. That means the fish excreta is also working as a manure for the rice field, and it also controls the unwanted filamentous algae in the field. Then it controls the unwanted weed also. Insect pest like stem borers, which can be controlled by the morels and the catfish. This is also an advantage. That means the insect pest, you do not need any kind of insecticides. You can just use these fishes, and you can use these fishes in culture, and they will feed on these insect pests. Then fish also feed on the aquatic intermediate hosts such as the malaria causing mosquito larvae, and therefore they can control the waterborne diseases also. So that is also one of the advantage. And finally the rice fields serve as a nursery to grow fry to fingerlings. You cannot use this particular culture for the adult fish, but you can grow the fry to fingerling, because the time span only allow you that much. Because if you see over here, there are 4 to 5 months of tenure, and you can have the fingerlings and the fry condition basically stage. And then when the adult comes out, you can take those adults out either for the breeding hatcheries, and or you can use them as such in selling system also. Now what are the disadvantages of the system? Every system has pros and cons. Now the cons of this system is that use of the agrochemical is often not feasible. You cannot use chemicals because you are rearing the fishes in the same water, right? Then maintaining the water level may not be possible for all time depending on the fish size and growth. Because if you see the rice plant, no doubt it needs water when you start the plantation, but after a while the water basically level changes, right? You do not need that much water, and maintaining that much water may not be possible for all time also, right? So that is one of the disadvantage. And then fish like grass carps may feed rice seedling also, so they are destroying the field in which you are rearing them. So what is the advantage, right? So you should not basically do this type of use this type of fish in this particular system. And the common carp and tilapia may uproot the plant. That is why I told you earlier, for what kind of variety you are using, it also very important. They needs to have very very strong root conditions so that they cannot be uprooted by the fish, right? Now there is one very good example of fish culture in the Pokali field. I hope I am pronouncing it right. If I am not, I am very very sorry about it. So this particular field is in the Kerala in India. So it is a traditional culture practice which is done in the southern part. So the term Pokali used in the common reference to a salt tolerance traditional rice cultivar which is grown in the coastal saline soil of the Kerala, right? So in this part of India, the particular rice which is cultivated is done in this manner. So fish culture is also done in the paddy fields, right? So fish and prawn together, not only fish, they also rear prawn, they are cultured together on a rotational basis in the Pokali rice field, right? Because this is an area which is alongside the coastal saline soil, that is why they basically grow the salt tolerant traditional rice cultivar here. Then these fields are under influenced by the Vemanand backwater, which are in turn controlled by the tide. So this is not important for you, but the part this one. So this is kind of an example that this particular practice people do in the southern part of India also, right? Now, the second one which I am going to explain here is the duck cum fish farming, which is very, very common when you go to the fish farms where integrated fish farming is being done. So, this is some kind of the duck houses also over there, and they have this thing which is attached to the pond so that the ducks can go into the pond. So, it is also highly profitable and it basically enhance the animal production in term of the fish and duck, because you can use fishes as the meat for the meat. You grow fish, and also the ducks can be used for meat and for the eggs also. So fish can duck culture economically viable hai, and it is technologically simple also, and it will give high revenue, one of the highest revenue generating culture system it is there. And it is practiced in Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, Assam, West Bengal, Orissa, Karnataka, and so many more districts and the states, sorry, in India. Now, what are the advantages of this particular system? So, duck fertilize the pond by dropping, right? Because duck is in the pond, so the droppings is going to be there. So duck dropping is very important. Why? Because it contains 25% of organic and 20% of inorganic substances, with the number of the elements such as the carbon, phosphorus, potassium, nitrogen, calcium, and they are very, very important. So that is why they are also known as the living manuring machine, because these inorganic and organic substances are very important for the development of the not the development, basically for the quality of water in which the fish is surviving. Why? Because there they it will enhance the plankton development, right? So it is important for that, in that manner. So the manuring machine, what do you call them? Ducks are also called the living manuring machine for their efficient, cost and labor saving method of pond manuring, right? So less supplementary feed is required because everything is available because of the duck droppings. And the fish feed on the dropping also. They directly feed on the dropping also. So it forms a very good fertilizer in the fish pond for the production of the fish food organism. So this is the advantage. Beside this, the manuring ducks also eradicate the unwanted insects, snails, and their larvae. So the unwanted pests are not around, and it also help in releasing the nutrients from the soil of the pond, right? Particularly when they agitate the shore areas, because when duck will enter the pond, they will paddle, paddling action will be there, and then they agitate the shore area, so they will basically release the nutrients from the pond soil also. And it also loosens the pond bottom with the dabbling, and yes, it is called dabbling, not paddling. So with their dabbling, they also loses the pond bottom, and they help in the release of the soil nutrients there also, and from the shore, basically the shore area and the pond bottom both. From there they will release the soil nutrient, and it also helps in release of the obnoxious gases which is trapped in the pond soil when there is no movement, hai na? And when they are dabbling, so that particular obnoxious gases are also being released. Also it aerates the water surface during the swimming movement, right? Because there is some kind of movement taking place. So this is the added advantage. Now selection of the duck species is very important in this manner for economic point of view, right? So sturdiness is then which they can withstand the weather condition in all season. And second thing is the angling capacity. This is something which basically we see in money making perspective also, है ना? We will look for something which will give us profit, isn't it? So to earn more income, you will be choosing the duck which is laying more eggs, right? So here you can see these are the two common duck species which are commonly used for integrated fish farming. So here is khaki Campbell duck, which basically lays around 200 eggs per year, and there is Indian runner duck, which lays around 200 eggs per year, right? Sorry, I think this is 150. Yeah, I'm very sorry about it. This is 150 and this one is 200 eggs per year. So now when you do the integrated fish farming, which you are basically doing the duck cum fish farming, so the duck stocking density and the fish stocking density needs to be considered very well. So there are 200 to 500 of the khaki Campbell ducks were found this is an ideal number for 1 hectare water area, and about 15 to 20 days old ducklings are good for you. So you use these specifically this age duckling when you introduce them into the pond. And duck droppings are manure, we know that. So dropping should be collected from the duck house at night and applied to the pond every morning, right? So because this duck house is beside the pond, if you can see over here, right? So from here you will collect the dropping and then you will mix it with the water in the morning. Now fish stocking density, if we see, so generally the fingerlings are advisable for stock, otherwise the duck can feed them. So greater than 10 centimeter size fingerlings should be there, otherwise the duck will feed, there is no benefit. And the stocking density needs to be around 750-100, ये पर हेक्टेयर के हिसाब से है, ठीक है? जैसे यहाँ पे भी पर हेक्टेयर के हिसाब से होता है, तो अराउंड 7500 अगर आप बात करें द फिंगरलिंग्स यू कैन इंट्रोड्यूस, राइट? And as if you see the N2 rich duck manure, that is the nitrogen rich duck manure, increases the production of the phyto and the zooplankton. The silver carps and catland common carps are ideal for the stocking because they will feed on this thing, right? And other fish species and shrimps can be stocked for the polyculture if you are doing the polyculture thing. Polyculture will understand in another video also, right? So this is the advantage of this thing. Now sorry, I have not added the disadvantage. So disadvantage is only this, that when you are doing the duck cum fish farming, like just in this case we have seen, so you cannot use any kind of the agrochemicals again, right? So ये agrochemical अब ये नहीं है कि that you are any kind of the chemicals you cannot use in the farm, right? Secondly, the water level maintenance is not a problem, but you cannot use the fingerlings which are less than the size recommended. Why? Because otherwise the duck is going to feed on over them, right? You can see it over here only. Yeah, less than 10 centimeter if size is there, so duck will feed on it. So altogether there is no point of rearing the duck and fish together if you cannot increase. And this is one of the most successful integrated fish farming method, the duck cum fish farming, right? Inspired from that, the duck cum pig farming is there, and other animals also. Poultry is also very very successful in these days, right? Because the same thing, why I have not explained those things, because the advantage is same also, right? So there is dropping from both these cases that is used for the fish, and further poultry say you can get egg, you can get meat, but from pig you can only get meat. So these are some added advantages of the integrated fish farming. I will suggest you, if you go through all these also, you just need to remember the stocking density which is there. That's it. I have already discussed for the duck stocking density and fish stocking density. Similar line mein you will find the other ones, right? So that is it. So this basically conclude the integrated fish farming. If you have any question, feel free to comment it down. And if you understand even a single line or something from this lecture, do like the video and share it with your friends who can be benefited from the lecture. And if you are new to the channel, do subscribe and stay connected for upcoming lectures. I will be bringing more lectures according to your exams. Thank you so much.